now that this is all mounted in, I decided next point was to finish off the brakes, mainly the ABS unit, because now that this is all mounted, I can see where this is going to fit. This, in the Tesla, this used to mount over in this area here. So I have moved it and I've put it over here, basically because all the brake lines of the Land Rover come up this bit of the firewall here. There's actually 3 of them. There's one that goes to the back and then 2 that go to each side at the front. So those lines now go to the ABS unit. So the ABS unit has an output for each wheel, each brake on each wheel. And so these end ones are the front ones. So they go straight to the front wheels. And then the middle ones have 2, obviously for the 2 rear wheels, but the Land Rover only has 1 line to go to the rear, remember? So I've got these going to this T-piece, so it combines them and brings them to 1. And then I wanted to keep it as 1 because I've got a biasing valve, an adjustable brake valve, so I can adjust how much is going to the rear brake so I can get the brake balance right. So yeah, and then that's the original Land Rover brake pipe that goes to the back. The input for the ABS unit obviously comes from the brake master cylinder, and it has 2, a front and a rear, and I've used the original Tesla lines, other than I've had to cut and shorten them a bit and bend them a bit. That's pretty straightforward. I've used all the original Tesla fittings, same with all these. So it's worth getting a good pipe flange tool. So as far as mounting this ABS unit, you can see I've picked up on the corner of the firewall here, and then another M6 bolt through here, both through nutserts in there, and then just to bracket off this main thermal bar support. Obvious question you might be asking is, why the hell have I mounted an ABS module to a car that doesn't have any wheel speed sensors, which is the key requirement of running an ABS module? Part of using the Tesla computers is you want to send it the information that it's expecting to hear. Obviously this is sending brake messages and wheel speed messages to the computer, and actually the Tesla user interface speed actually uses the wheel speed sensors as for speed, and if it doesn't see that those signals, it actually uses the motor speed as a backup. That's what I've worked out, and I think that's right. So I mean, I could just not put this in and just have a front and a rear brake straight from the master cylinder, and that'll work. But I've decided it's easier to emulate the signals if I've still got this, mainly because there's also a brake pressure signal. That signal is a sort of a hard one to emulate. Like, I can emulate the speed, like the speed of the motor. I can put a multiplication through and send it back pretending that it's the wheel speed sensor. But the brake pressure is a bit harder because this is the only thing that sends the brake pressure, I think. So I've left it on, so it'll still send brake pressure. So this is a situation where a CAN bus man in the middle, I think, will work, and I've tried it. I haven't solved it yet though. So I've spliced between the CAN bus wires that go to here and back to the main system. So plan is, I'll put a man in the middle here, which is basically communicating CAN back to the main computer this way, and also has a separate CAN that communicates with the ABS module on this side. And it, like for brake pressure, it'll read that as a CAN signal and just send it straight back to the main computer. But other things like wheel speed sensors, which the wheel speeds are always going to be 0, it's going to actually read on this side the motor speed, do a multiplication, and then send it back pretending that it's actually the wheel speed sensors. That's the plan. In theory that should work. I haven't actually got that to work yet though. To be honest, I think it's easier leaving this in than trying to emulate more. So I've actually still got the wheel speed sensors plugged in, but there's no way I can really, this is too early in a vehicle to have wheel speed sensors in anyway. So and so I might need someone smarter than me to decode that a bit more to not get errors. In saying that though, like, If that's unplugged, or if I don't have wheel speed sensors, the car will still go into drive and drive. The only thing is it'll come up with an error. Obviously, it'll turn off traction control and ABS braking, which is fine. I don't want them. I don't care about them. But it also turns off regen braking, which I do want. In the short term, I can still drive the car until I solve that problem. But that's for the future. So at the rear here, it's all original Land Rover. Comes to a T-piece and then goes to the right and left brakes. But I've changed the rear calipers to the Tesla rear calipers, basically because it's got the integrated electric park brake. So I've cut these lines shorter. This is the original Tesla brake pipe. And I've even used the original Tesla brackets here. These are off the front though. The rear ones are, I think they're moulded into the body. But these are the front Tesla retaining things. So that's all the original Tesla stuff. And I've also modified these. They have a square on them here, which means that they sort of just stick out. And obviously I don't want these sticking out here because they could catch something for driving. So I've just ground the edge of that. So I've been able to spin it around and bring it up here out of the way on each side. So that's much better. So yeah, they're all mounted too, and they're sitting lovely up in there. Them's the brakes. Next thing on the list will be installing all the low voltage components and wiring harness.